bloody Newton's gold carpet green eyes. Jessica licked her lips.
And the sounds he made when I sucked his.
I shoved the ball hard into Jessica's ugly curly head, making her lurch forward and cutting her off mid-sentence. She grabbed the back of her head and spun around to face me.
"Hey. What the fuck is your problem, freak?"
she screeched. The gym immediately stilled at her incredibly loud and high-pitched scream, and everyone turned to face me. My jaw was still clenched so hard my teeth hurt. I darted my eyes around the gym to take in all the confused stares. But I was used to people looking at me like I was a freak, and there was no way in hell I was apologizing to Jessica for what I did. Just as I was about to stand up and walk away from this entire situation, the coach blew his whistle, signaling us to get to the locker rooms. Everyone put their balls down and began walking out of the main gym, sparing glances in our direction. Jessica was still standing there glowering at me with a furious expression. I wasn't apologizing. I stood up, taller than her from the higher bleacher I was in, and stalked off toward the locker room, with my hood up and my head down. 10 o'clock couldn't come soon enough. I had been in possibly the worst mood ever since gym class, and I knew only one person would be able to make it better. Every time I closed my eyes I could see it, and I didn't want to. I wanted to pour bleach into my brain, to get the visuals out. I wanted to find some way to erase my memory of all the things she said. But no matter what I did, it was always there, in the forefront, driving me insane. Really, it was irrational for me to be so jealous of Jessica. Sure, she had Edward in ways that I probably never would. But I had Edward in ways she definitely never would. Still, it provided me with little comfort. So when the time came, I packed up the Wrathful walnut fudge cookies I had just made, adding them to my already filled backpack of food for Edward, and bolted out the door. I knocked rapidly on his glass French door, tapping my foot impatiently. Finally he came, standing before me in his black shirt and dark jeans, hair falling into his green eyes, and a calm expression on his face. He moved so I could enter, and as soon as the door was closed, he reached up, like always, and brought my hood down. With those hands. I cringed a bit, and went to unloading his meal for him. He ate happily. Too happily. All those moans and hums just made my visuals clearer.
And the sounds he made.
Jessica's voice cooed in my mind. I cringed again. I was tense on his couch, bouncing one leg up and down rapidly, tapping my knee with my hand. I had to erase it. I had to do something to get those pictures out of my head.
"What's up with you?"
Edward's silky voice asked from the bed, after he finished eating. I just shook my head at him and attempted a smile that was probably tight, and not the least bit believable. "Not a thing," I replied sweetly.
"Bullshit,"
Edward said simply, cocking an eyebrow expectantly. I let out a deep sigh. He could always tell when something was wrong. I should have known. I leaned down and untied my shoes, to hug my knees. He was still staring at me, waiting for an answer, when I got settled. There was no way I could tell Edward what was really bothering me. It would be too obvious. So, instead I decided to do the same thing he did to me often. I just had a really crappy day. It wasn't a lie. He looked like he was waiting for me to expand on that comment, but there was no way I would.
"Okay.
He said slowly, eyeing me cautiously.
Do you want to talk about it?"
He asked, concerned. I shook my head slowly and closed my eyes, praying he wouldn't push this. The room was silent for a long while, and I kept my eyes closed.
"They,"
Edward whispered softly. I opened my eyes slowly, pleading with my gaze to just please drop it. He stared at me like that for a few minutes. Then slowly he raised his arms out in front of him, as if offering to hug me. I didn't hesitate. I got off the sofa and tried to walk as slowly as I could to his bed. It was still a sprint. I climbed up and flew into his arms, almost knocking him over with the force of it. I buried my head into the crook of his neck, breathing in his scent, and letting it relax me while he hugged me to him tightly. He never said anything. just reached behind him and turned the light off before laying us down into our usual position. After a long while of him caressing my hair and rubbing my back, I was tired. So I began stroking his hair and humming his song, lulling him to sleep. It didn't take long. I could feel his hands on my back, tangled in my hair, and I let the feel of it erase the visions of his hands on Jessica. After all, I was the one in his bed at night.